The crystal chandeliers of the Plaza Hotel cast a golden glow over New York's elite as they mingled in their finest attire. Leonard Dumas stood at the center of his engagement party, impeccably dressed in a navy suit, his green eyes scanning the room with practiced indifference. At 33 he was everything the media expected from the heir to Dumas Air, America's largest private aviation company, successful, devastatingly handsome and utterly miserable. His engagement to Bianca Montenegro wasn't love, it was a business merger disguised as romance. Senator Montenegro's political connections would secure federal contracts worth billions, while the Dumas fortune would fund the senator's presidential campaign. Leonard's feelings were irrelevant in this equation. "Darling, you look so serious," Bianca's voice cut through his thoughts like nails on glass. She approached with her signature smile, the one that never reached her eyes, holding a champagne flute with practiced elegance. At 31, Bianca was undeniably beautiful, with platinum blonde hair and sharp blue eyes. She was also everything Leonard despised, shallow, manipulative, and utterly obsessed with status. "I'm savoring the moment," Leonard replied, his tone as sharp as the crystal she held. "Well, don't savor too long. We have important people to impress," she said, her manicured hand possessively gripping his arm. "Daddy says the aviation ministry officials are here tonight." Leonard's stomach churned. Even on their engagement night, everything was about business. He excused himself, needing air before he said something that would make tomorrow's headlines. As he moved through the crowd, accepting congratulations from people who saw him as nothing more than a business opportunity, Leonard's eyes caught something different. In the corner of the room, a young woman was arranging champagne glasses with quiet efficiency. She wore the standard black and white uniform of the catering staff, but there was something about her that made him pause. She was beautiful, but not in the polished, artificial way of the women surrounding him. Her light brown hair was pulled back in a simple bun, and when she looked up, her dark eyes held a depth and sincerity that felt foreign in this world of facades. She moved with purpose, not seeking attention, simply doing her job with dignity. "You're Armando's daughter?" he said, approaching her. "Camila, right?" She looked up, startled to see the guest of honor. "Yes, sir. My father speaks of you often." Leonard had known Armando Rios for 20 years, his family's loyal driver, more of a father figure than his own father had ever been. He'd heard Armando mention his daughter occasionally, how proud he was of her psychology studies, how she worked multiple jobs to support the family. "What are you doing here?" Leonard asked, genuinely curious. "Extra work," Camila replied honestly. "The catering company needed help and my family needs the money." Her honesty was refreshing. In his world, everyone had hidden agendas wrapped in polite conversation. But Camila looked him straight in the eye and told the truth without shame. "Your father's surgery," Leonard said, remembering fragments of conversations. "Heart problems, right?" Camila's composure flickered. "Yes, we're working on it." Leonard knew what that meant. The surgery would cost more than Armando could afford, even with generous benefits. They were probably on a waiting list for public care, praying time wouldn't run out. An audacious idea began forming in Leonard's mind, desperate and completely insane. But as he looked at Camila's honest face and then glanced back at Bianca posing for photographers, the idea solidified into salvation. "I need to ask you something," Leonard said, lowering his voice. "Something that might sound completely insane, but I need you to hear me out." Camila frowned, her dark eyes studying his face with analytical precision. "What kind of something?" "I need you to marry me." Camila's eyes widened. "Excuse me?" "Not for real," Leonard said quickly. "I mean legally real but not emotionally real. A business arrangement. 6 months, maybe less. Just long enough to get me out of this engagement to Bianca." Camila stared at him as if he'd lost his mind. "Mr. Dumas, I think you might be having some kind of breakdown." "I'm completely serious," Leonard interrupted. "Look around this room, Camila. Do you see happiness? This engagement is a business transaction, and if I go through with it, I'll spend the rest of my life miserable. But if I marry someone else first, someone unexpected, someone real. Someone desperate enough to agree to such a ridiculous plan," Camila finished sharply. "Someone brave enough," Leonard corrected. "Someone with integrity, which is something I clearly lack if I'm standing here asking a stranger to save me from my own cowardice." Camila crossed her arms. "And what exactly would I get out of this arrangement?" Leonard's expression grew serious. "Your father's surgery. The best cardiac surgeon in the country, private hospital, full recovery care. No waiting lists, no insurance hassles, no debt. And when it's over, when we divorce, you'll have enough money to finish your degree without working 3 jobs. The offer hit Camila like a physical blow. Her father's condition had been deteriorating for months. The doctors said the surgery couldn't wait much longer, but the costs were astronomical. "You're asking me to lie to the entire world," she said quietly. "To pretend to be something I'm not." "I'm asking you to save my life," Leonard said simply. "And I'm offering to save your father's in return." Camila looked past him to the glittering crowd, to Bianca now posing with socialites. She thought about her father, about the pills he tried to hide, about the way he clutched his chest when he thought no one was watching. "If I were to even consider this insanity," she said slowly, "there would have to be rules. A contract. Legal protections." Leonard's eyes lit up with hope. "Anything you want. My family's privacy is non-negotiable. They don't get dragged into this circus. And when it's over, it's over. No strings, no obligations, no contact unless absolutely necessary." "Agreed. And I want it in writing that this is purely business. No expectations of anything else." Leonard nodded, though something flickered in his eyes. "Purely business." Camila stood there for a long moment, weighing the insanity against the desperation that had been eating away at her for months. Finally she met his gaze. "I'll think about it." "How long do you need?" 24 hours. Leonard pulled out his business card and wrote a number on the back. "My private cell. Call me with your answer." The next evening, Leonard sat in his penthouse office, staring out at the Manhattan skyline. He hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, had barely been able to concentrate on anything except waiting for Camila's call. His phone rang at exactly 8 o'clock. "Mr. Dumas?" Camila's voice was steady, controlled. "I've made my decision." Leonard's heart pounded. "And?" "I'll do it. But I want to meet with your lawyers first. I want every detail in writing, every protection guaranteed." Leonard closed his eyes, relief flooding through him. "Thank you, Camila. You won't regret this." "I already regret it," she said quietly. "But my father needs this surgery, and you're the only person offering a solution." 3 days later, Camila sat in the most expensive law office she'd ever seen, surrounded by documents that would legally bind her to a man she barely knew. The contract was thorough. Her father would receive the best medical care, her family would be protected from media intrusion, and she would receive a substantial sum upon dissolution of the marriage. "Are you sure about this?" Leonard asked for the 3rd time. Camila looked up from the papers. "Are you?" "No," he admitted. "But I'm desperate enough to do it anyway." She smiled grimly. "At least we're both honest about our motivations." As Camila signed her name on the final document, she felt like she was stepping off a cliff into darkness. She had no idea where she would land, but her father would be alive to see it. "So," she said, setting down the pen, "when do we get married?" Leonard looked at his lawyers, then back at her. "Tomorrow if you're ready. City Hall, just witnesses. The media circus can wait." Camila nodded, her hands trembling slightly. "Tomorrow it is." As they left the law office together, Leonard offered her his arm. Camila hesitated, then took it, feeling the solid strength beneath the expensive fabric. "No going back now," she murmured. "No going back," he agreed. Neither noticed the photographer across the street, or the headlines that would scream across the tabloids the next morning. "Aviation heir dumps senator's daughter for mystery woman." The game had begun, and there was no telling who would win when it was over. The marriage ceremony at City Hall was everything a wedding shouldn't be: cold, impersonal, and devoid of emotion. Camila wore a simple cream dress she'd bought off the rack, while Leonard stood beside her in a charcoal suit, both speaking vows that felt more like a business contract than a declaration of love. When the judge pronounced them husband and wife, Leonard's kiss was brief and awkward, more of a handshake between their lips than anything resembling passion. The media explosion began before they left the building. Photographers swarmed the courthouse steps like vultures. Leonard's arm around Camila's waist felt protective as he guided her through the chaos. "Mrs. Dumas, how long have you been seeing Leonard? What happened to the engagement with Senator Montenegro's daughter?" Camila kept her head down, just as Leonard had coached her. As their car pulled away, she caught headlines already forming: "Mystery bride steals aviation heir." "Well," she said, settling into the leather seat, "that was terrifying." Leonard loosened his tie, looking equally shaken. "It gets easier. Does it? Or do you just get numb to it?" He glanced at her, surprised by the insight. "Maybe a little of both." The Dumas estate in the Hamptons was everything Camila had expected and nothing she was prepared for. The house sat on 50 acres with a private beach and enough rooms to house a small army. As they pulled into the circular driveway, Camila felt the weight of what she'd gotten herself into. This is temporary, she reminded herself aloud. The whole thing is temporary, Leonard said, though something in his voice suggested he was trying to convince himself as much as her. Her assigned room was larger than her family's entire apartment, with a private bathroom that felt like a spa. She stood in the middle of it all, surrounded by luxury she'd never dreamed of, and felt utterly alone. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Leonard stood in the hallway looking uncertain. "I wanted to check if you needed anything," he said. "The cook can prepare whatever you like, and if there's anything about the room you want changed." "It's fine," Camila said quickly. "More than fine. It's overwhelming." Leonard stepped into the room. "I know this isn't easy. The house, the staff, the media attention. It's a lot to adjust to." "I signed up for it," Camila replied, though her voice lacked conviction. "You signed up to help your father," Leonard corrected. "Everything else is just collateral damage." They stood there for a moment, two strangers bound together by desperation and legal documents. "There's something you should know," Leonard said. "Bianca's been calling the office all day. She's not taking the news well." Camila felt a chill. "What kind of not taking it well?" "Threats mostly. She's promising to expose our arrangement to the press, to ruin both our reputations. She's also threatening to have her father make life difficult for us." "Can she actually do that?" Leonard's expression darkened. "Senator Montenegro has a lot of influence. If he decides to make us his enemy, things could get complicated." That night, Camila lay awake in her enormous bed, wondering what she'd gotten herself into. Down the hall, Leonard was probably having similar thoughts. Their marriage was supposed to solve his problems, but it seemed to be creating new ones instead. The next morning brought the first real test. Leonard had a business breakfast with potential investors who expected to meet his new wife. Camila stood in her walk-in closet, staring at clothes that still had tags. Leonard's personal shopper had stocked her wardrobe overnight. "I don't know how to be a billionaire's wife," she said when Leonard appeared, looking immaculate in a navy suit. "You don't have to be anything other than yourself," he replied. "That's why I chose you. Your authenticity is what makes this work." "My authenticity?" Camila laughed bitterly. "I'm pretending to be married to you for money? How is that authentic?" Leonard stepped closer, his green eyes serious. "Because underneath all of this, you're still Camila Rios. You're still the woman who works 3 jobs to help her family, who studies psychology because she wants to help people, who looked me in the eye and told me the truth when everyone else just tells me what they think I want to hear." His words caught her off guard. There was something in the way he looked at her that made her feel seen, valued in a way that had nothing to do with money or status. "Wear the blue dress," he said softly. "It matches your eyes." The breakfast was held at an exclusive restaurant with a private dining room overlooking Central Park. Camila sat beside Leonard, playing the devoted wife while feeling like a fraud. The investors were polite but curious, clearly trying to figure out where she'd come from. "So, Camila," said Mr. Richardson, the lead investor, "Leonard tells us you're studying psychology. What's your area of focus?" Camila felt Leonard's hand find hers under the table, a gesture of support that sent unexpected warmth through her. "I'm interested in trauma therapy," she said, her voice gaining confidence. "Specifically, how people heal from emotional wounds that have shaped their lives." "How did you two meet?" asked Mrs. Chen with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Leonard squeezed Camila's hand. "Camila's father works for my family," he said smoothly. "I've known her for years, but it wasn't until recently that I realized she was the most remarkable woman I'd ever met." The lie came so easily, with such apparent sincerity, that Camila almost believed it herself. She looked at Leonard, seeing the way he gazed at her with what looked like genuine affection. After breakfast, walking through Central Park, Camila spoke. "You're a very good actor." "So are you," Leonard replied. "They completely believed us." "Did they? Or were they just being polite?" Leonard stopped walking. "Does it matter? This is about buying us time, not winning awards for our performance." Camila studied his face. "Sometimes I forget this isn't real." "Sometimes," Leonard said quietly, "so do I." The next few weeks fell into a routine. Leonard went to his office while Camila found ways to occupy herself in the vast house. She explored the library, swam in the indoor pool, and took long walks on the beach. Her father's surgery was scheduled for the following month, and knowing he would receive the best care made all the strangeness worth it. But the isolation was harder than expected. Leonard worked long hours, and when he was home they maintained careful distance. They ate dinner together, made polite conversation, then retreated to separate rooms. It was a lonely way to live. The first crack in their professional facade came 3 weeks into their marriage. Camila was making coffee when Leonard arrived home early, his tie askew and hair disheveled. "Rough day?" she asked, noting the tension in his shoulders. "Bianca showed up at the office," he said, accepting the coffee she offered. "She demanded to see me, caused a scene. Security had to escort her out." Camila felt fear chill her. What did she want? To offer me a deal. If I divorce you and marry her as planned, she'll forget this ever happened. If I don't, she'll destroy me. My reputation, my business, my family's name. Camila set down her cup, hands trembling. "Maybe you should consider her offer." Leonard's head snapped up, eyes flashing. "What?" "I'm serious, Leonard. I didn't sign up to be your shield against a vengeful ex-fiancé. No." His voice was firm, almost angry. "I won't let her win. And I won't let her hurt you. Why do you care if she hurts me?" The question slipped out before Camila could stop it. "This is just business, remember?" Leonard stared at her for a long moment, something unreadable flickering in his eyes. "Yes," he said finally. "Just business." But as he walked away, Camila couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed between them. The careful boundaries they'd established were beginning to blur, and she didn't know whether to be terrified or hopeful about what that might mean. 1 month into their arrangement, Camila's father's surgery was a complete success. Leonard had kept his word. Armando Rios received care at Mount Sinai from the best cardiac surgeon in the country. When Camila sat by her father's bedside and saw him breathing easily for the first time in months, she felt gratitude toward Leonard that went beyond their business arrangement. "The doctor says he'll make a full recovery," Leonard said, visiting the hospital daily despite his busy schedule. Camila smiled genuinely for the first time since their wedding. "Thank you. I know this is all pretend, but what you did for my father, that's real." Leonard felt something twist in his chest. "I'm glad I could help." Their return to the estate was interrupted by an unwelcome surprise. Bianca Montenegro was waiting in the sitting room, perfectly coiffed and radiating cold fury. "Hello, darling," she said to Leonard, ignoring Camila completely. "I hope you don't mind that I let myself in." Leonard's jaw tightened. "What are you doing here, Bianca?" "I came to meet your little wife," Bianca said, finally turning to Camila with a smile that could cut glass. "I must say, I'm curious about what could possibly have attracted Leonard to someone so ordinary." "Nice to meet you too," Camila replied steadily. "Oh, we haven't been properly introduced," Bianca continued, circling Camila like a predator. "I'm Bianca Montenegro, Leonard's real fiancé. Or should I say former fiancé, since he seems to have temporarily lost his mind." "That's enough," Leonard said, stepping between them. Bianca laughed, a sound like breaking crystal. "You can't possibly think this charade will last. A driver's daughter? She must be quite talented in certain areas to have caught your attention." The implication hit Camila like a slap, but she kept her voice steady. "I think you should leave." "I'll leave when I'm ready," Bianca snapped. "This is more my home than yours, darling." "Actually," Leonard's voice cut through the tension, "this is my house and you're not welcome here anymore." Bianca's composure slipped, revealing fury underneath. "You think you can dismiss me? You think there won't be consequences for humiliating me and my family? I think you should be careful about making threats in my home." Bianca's smile returned, uglier now. "Oh, I'm not making threats, darling. I'm making promises. You have 48 hours to come to your senses, divorce this nobody, and honor your commitment to me." She pulled out her phone, showing them photos of documents and financial records. "The media would be very interested to learn the truth about your sudden marriage. And Daddy would be interested in knowing how Dumas Air has been handling certain government contracts." Leonard went pale. "You're bluffing." "Am I? I have connections in investigative journalism. One phone call from me, and your company becomes the subject of a federal investigation." After Bianca left, the house felt like a tomb. Leonard stood at the window while Camila sat on the sofa, trying to process what had happened. "She can really do this?" Camila asked. "Her father has connections everywhere," Leonard replied. "The Justice Department, the media, regulatory agencies. If she wants to destroy me, she can." "Then maybe you should." "No." Leonard turned, eyes blazing. "I won't give in to her blackmail. This isn't about winning, Leonard. This is about your entire life's work. My family's legacy is exactly what I'm trying to escape. Do you think I want to spend my life married to someone who would threaten to destroy me the moment I displease her?" Camila stood pacing. "But if she exposes our arrangement, it won't just hurt you. I'll protect you," Leonard said firmly. Whatever happens, I'll make sure you and your family are safe. How? If your company is destroyed. I'll figure it out. Camila stopped pacing. You're willing to risk everything rather than go back to her? Yes. Why? Leonard was quiet for a long moment. Because spending 1 month married to you has shown me what my life could be like with someone who actually sees me as a person instead of a business opportunity. The words hung between them, heavy with implications neither was ready to face. Leonard, Camila began, but he held up a hand. I know what you're going to say. This is just an arrangement, it's temporary, we have our boundaries. But I can't pretend anymore that this doesn't feel real to me. Camila's heart pounded. You don't mean that. Don't I? He stepped closer. Tell me you haven't felt it too, Camila. Tell me that when we have dinner together, when we talk, when you laugh at something I say, tell me that doesn't feel like more than just an arrangement. She wanted to lie, to maintain professional distance, but the words wouldn't come. Because he was right. Their fake marriage had started to feel real in ways that terrified her. It doesn't matter what we feel, she said instead. Bianca will destroy both of us if you don't do what she wants. Let her try. The next day brought Camila's own encounter with Bianca. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Café Luna on 5th Avenue in 1 hour. Come alone. B. Against her better judgment, Camila found herself at the cafe. Bianca was already there, looking perfectly composed despite her crumbling world. Thank you for coming, Bianca said as Camila sat down. I want to offer you a way out before this destroys you. I'm listening. Leonard didn't tell you the whole truth about our engagement. We have history, real history. We were together in college before his parents shipped him off to Europe. Camila felt a twist of jealousy. What's your point? My point is that what you think you see in Leonard, the way he looks at you, it's all part of a pattern. He did the same thing with me 10 years ago. Made me believe I was special, different from all the other women his family had picked out. And then? Then his father offered him a promotion that required marrying someone more suitable. He dropped me without a second thought. Bianca leaned forward. He's using you, Camila. And when this arrangement serves its purpose, he'll discard you just as easily. Even if that were true, it doesn't change our agreement. Doesn't it? Because I think you're falling for him. You're starting to believe this fairy tale you're both selling. Bianca slid a business card across the table. That's my lawyer's number. He can have divorce papers drawn up within hours. You can be free of this mess by tomorrow with enough money to start over. And what do you get? I get Leonard back. Where he belongs. His father is already pressuring him to end this marriage. The board thinks his love story makes him look impulsive. How long do you think he'll choose you over his company? That evening, Leonard returned from a meeting with his father looking exhausted. How did it go? Camila asked. About as well as expected. The board wants me to clarify our relationship to the media. Some investors are concerned that my romantic impulsiveness might affect my business judgment. And what did you tell them? I told them my personal life is not subject to board approval. But my father made it clear that if the stock price suffers because of media attention, they'll expect corrective action. Camila felt Bianca's words echoing. What kind of corrective action? Leonard met her eyes. They want me to end our marriage and make a public statement about focusing on business. The words hit like a physical blow. I see. Camila, I want you to know that I have no intention of. How long do we have? She interrupted. My father is giving me 2 weeks to come to my senses. After that, they'll start looking for ways to force the issue. Maybe we should consider their proposal. Leonard's head snapped up. What? Think about it. You've already escaped the engagement to Bianca. My father's surgery is paid for. We could end this now before it gets worse. Is that what you want? The question caught her off guard. A month ago the answer would have been simple. But now, looking at Leonard's face, she realized the answer was much more complicated. I want what's best for both of us, she said instead. Leonard stood, circling the desk to kneel in front of her chair. Camila, look at me. Reluctantly, she met his eyes. I don't care what my father threatens or what the board demands. I'm not ending this marriage unless you want me to. Why? Because somewhere along the way, this stopped being about escaping Bianca or any of the reasons we started this. It became about us. He took her hands and she could feel them trembling. I know we said this was temporary, but I'm hoping you might consider making it permanent. Camila's heart stopped. Leonard, you can't be serious. I'm completely serious. I'm in love with you, Camila. I think I have been since that first night when you looked me in the eye and told me exactly what you thought of my crazy proposal. Tears pricked at Camilla's eyes. Everything she'd wanted to hear was being offered to her. But Bianca's words echoed in her mind, along with the very real threats from his family. This isn't love, Leonard, she said, pulling her hands away. This is gratitude and proximity and the thrill of rebelling against your family. But it's not love. Leonard looked as if she'd slapped him. How can you say that? Because I've seen how your world works. I won't be the reason you lose everything you've worked for. You're not listening to me. I don't care about losing the company if it means keeping you. Well, I care, Camilla shot back, standing. I care about your future, about your happiness, about the fact that you'll hate me in 5 years when you realize what you gave up for a fantasy. This isn't a fantasy. Isn't it? We've been playing house for a month, Leonard. But reality is knocking at the door and we can't ignore it anymore. Leonard stared at her, hurt and confusion warring in his expression. So what are you saying? Camilla felt her heart breaking as she spoke. I'm saying maybe it's time to end this before we both get hurt. The next morning, Camilla woke to find an envelope under her door. Inside was a plane ticket to anywhere she wanted to go, along with a note in Leonard's handwriting. If you really want to leave, I won't stop you. But please don't go because you think it's what I need. Let me decide what I'm willing to sacrifice for happiness. She sat on her bed, staring at the ticket and thinking about everything that had brought her to this moment. Her father was recovering, her family's troubles were over, and she had enough money to finish her degree. By every measure, their arrangement had been a success. So why did the thought of leaving feel like dying? Down the hall, Leonard sat staring out at the ocean, wondering if he'd just made the biggest mistake of his life. Telling Camilla he loved her had felt like stepping off a cliff. Her rejection had been the brutal landing. His phone buzzed with a call from his assistant. Mr. Dumas, there's been a development. Bianca Montenegro just held a press conference. Leonard closed his eyes. What did she say? She claimed your marriage is a business arrangement designed to boost your public image and that she has proof of the deception. What kind of proof? Documents allegedly detailing financial payments to Miss Rios and her family, along with photos of you signing what she claims is a marriage contract. Leonard felt the world tilt. How did she get those? We're not sure, sir. But the story is spreading rapidly. Leonard found Camilla in the kitchen, watching the news coverage on her phone with a pale expression. You saw, he said. She nodded. How bad is it? Bad. Stock prices dropping and my father has called an emergency board meeting. Camilla finally met his eyes. I'm sorry, Leonard. This is my fault. How is this your fault? I should have taken Bianca's offer yesterday. I should have walked away. She played us both, Leonard said. The meeting, the offer, it was all designed to make you doubt everything we've built. Was she wrong, though? Are you really willing to lose everything for this? Leonard moved closer. Let me ask you something, Camilla. If I weren't rich, if I had nothing to offer you except myself, would you still be here? The question caught her off guard. She found herself really thinking about it, imagining Leonard without the money, the power, the complications. Yes, she said softly and realized she meant it completely. Then that's all I need to know. As Leonard prepared to leave for what might be the most important meeting of his career, Camilla made a decision that surprised them both. I'm coming with you, she announced. Camilla, that's not necessary. Yes, it is. If they're going to destroy you because of me, then I need to face them too. The Dumas Air building was swarming with reporters when they arrived. Leonard's security team got them inside, but shouted questions followed. Is your marriage a fraud, Mr. Dumas? How much did you pay Miss Rios? The boardroom felt like a tribunal. Augustus Dumas sat at the head of the table, his expression carved from stone, while other board members avoided eye contact. Leonard and Camilla took seats across from them, presenting a united front. Leonard, Augustus began coldly, I think it's time we discussed your future with this company. My future is not in question, Leonard replied calmly. My personal life has no bearing on my ability to run Dumas Air. Board member Margaret Stevens slid a tablet across the table showing the plummeting stock price. We've lost 12% of our value in 4 hours. Investors are calling this a crisis of leadership. If you've been deceiving the public about your marriage, Augustus said, what else might you be deceiving them about? I haven't deceived anyone about anything that matters. So you admit the marriage is fake? Stevens pressed. Leonard looked at Camilla, drawing strength from her presence. I admit our marriage began as a business arrangement. But what it became is something else entirely. What it became, Augustus said coldly, is a liability threatening everything our family has built. What it became, Camila said quietly, speaking for the first time, is real. The room turned to her and she felt the weight of their judgment. But Leonard's hand found hers and she drew courage from his touch. You want the truth? She continued, her voice growing stronger. Yes, Leonard offered me money to marry him. Yes, I accepted because my father needed surgery we couldn't afford. But somewhere along the way I fell in love with him. Not his money, not his status, him. She looked directly at Augustus. Your son is the most honorable man I've ever known. He could have let Bianca blackmail him into a loveless marriage, but he chose to fight for his freedom. He could have treated me like an employee, but he treated me like a partner. And when you demanded he choose between me and his company, he chose me. How touching, Augustus said sarcastically. But honor doesn't pay dividends. Doesn't it? Leonard stood, his voice carrying inherited authority. Everything you're calling a liability, my independence, my integrity, my willingness to make hard choices, those are exactly the qualities that have made this company successful. He moved to the window, looking out at the city skyline. You want me to apologize for falling in love with someone real instead of someone convenient? You want me to sacrifice my happiness to appease investors who will forget this crisis the moment our next quarterly report shows growth? Leonard turned back to face them. But I won't do it. If you think this company is better off without me, then fire me. But I won't divorce my wife to save stock prices. The room was silent. Finally, Augustus spoke. The board will need time to consider your perspective. Take all the time you need, Leonard replied. But my answer won't change. As they left the building, reporters swarmed again, but this time Leonard stopped to address them directly. I want to make something clear, he said, his arm around Camila's waist. Yes, my marriage to Camila began unconventionally. But what we've built together is real and I'm proud of it. If that makes me unsuitable to run Dumas Air in some people's opinion, then so be it. A reporter shouted, Are you willing to give up your company for love? Leonard looked at Camila, and his smile was genuine for the first time in weeks. I'm willing to give up anything that keeps me from being the man she deserves. The video went viral within hours. Social media exploded with support for their love story, with hashtags like #RealLove and #StandByYourWife trending worldwide. The narrative began to shift. Instead of a scandalous deception, their marriage became a symbol of choosing love over convenience. By the next morning, Dumas Air's stock had not only recovered but reached an all-time high. Investors, it seemed, were more inspired by Leonard's integrity than concerned about his unconventional romance. Augustus Dumas called his son with grudging respect in his voice. It appears I underestimated public sentiment. You underestimated a lot of things, Leonard replied. The board has voted to retain you as CEO, with full support for your personal choices. And Bianca? Senator Montenegro has withdrawn from the presidential race. It seems her behavior has damaged his credibility beyond repair. 3 months later, Leonard found Camila in their garden. No longer the garden but their garden in a house they'd bought together outside the city. She was reading a book on trauma therapy, preparing for graduate studies that Leonard was proudly funding not as an obligation but as an investment in work that made her eyes light up. I have something for you, he said, sitting beside her on their favorite bench. He pulled out a small velvet box and Camila's heart skipped a beat. Leonard, we're already married. We're already legally married, he corrected. But I want to marry you for real this time. No contracts, no arrangements, no pressure from families or boards or anyone else. Just us choosing each other. He opened the box to reveal a simple, perfect diamond ring. Camila Rios Dumas, will you marry me again? For love this time. Tears streaming down her face, Camila nodded. Yes. Always yes. Their second wedding was everything their first hadn't been. Intimate, joyful, and surrounded by people who loved them for who they were together. Armando Rios, fully recovered and beaming with pride, walked his daughter down the aisle. Leonard's father, who had slowly begun to understand what his son had found, served as best man with genuine warmth. As they exchanged vows they'd written themselves, Leonard spoke words that would have been impossible when they first met. You saved me from a life of emptiness disguised as success. You taught me that vulnerability is strength, that love is worth any risk, and that the best business deal I ever made was the one that brought you into my life. Camila's vows were equally heartfelt. You gave me more than financial security, you gave me partnership, respect, and a love I never thought I deserved. You showed me that fairy tales can be real when two people choose to write them together. 1 year later, Camila graduated with honors from her master's program in clinical psychology. Leonard was in the front row, cheering louder than anyone when her name was called. The trauma therapy center they'd founded together was already helping dozens of people heal, proving that love could indeed change the world, one person at a time. As they stood together at the center's opening ceremony, watching families reunite and individuals reclaim their lives, Leonard marveled at the journey that had brought them here. "Do you ever regret it?" Camila asked, reading his thoughts as she so often did. "Giving up the simple life for all this complexity?" Leonard looked around at the people they were helping, at the life they'd built together, at the woman whose hand fit perfectly in his. "The only thing I regret," he said, "is waiting so long to realize that the best deal of my life was falling in love with you." And as they watched their first success story, a young mother reuniting with children she'd thought she'd lost forever, both Leonard and Camila knew that their unconventional beginning had led to the most authentic ending possible. A love that had transformed not just their lives but the lives of everyone they touched. Sometimes the most unexpected proposals lead to the most extraordinary love stories. And sometimes, when you stop trying to control everything, you discover that the best things in life aren't planned, they're chosen again and again by two people brave enough to believe in something real.